Good afternoon. I'm Father David. Thank you for joining me today for Disciple Time as we're looking at the blessings of the Good Shepherd. Now, this past Sunday, we looked at how the Good Shepherd gives his life for the sheep. We also looked at how the Good Shepherd uses the shepherd's crook, that staff that they hold, and also how they don't use it. So the idea is that the Good Shepherd doesn't keep the crook around the neck of the sheep 24/7. He gives the sheep room to explore around the pasture, to eat, to find a shade tree to rest beneath. And some will stay right around the flock, and some of those sheep will wander kind of on the outskirts, and that's okay as long as the sheep are kind of there and moving along. And in today's gospel, we learn some of the benefits of having a good shepherd for those who are sheep, right? And so let's look at the gospel reading in John chapter 10, verse 27, where we read this. Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish." So we see in this verse that there is a familiarity and a trust between the shepherd and the sheep. There's a familiarity and a trust. And now, recently, I saw a movie that opened my eyes concerning a deeper level of trust. And the movie is an older movie. It was Footloose, starring Kevin Bacon and Laurie Singer. And it was the first time that my wife had ever seen the movie. And it's the story of a community that had lost some youth in a tragic car accident on a bridge. And the accident was the result of drinking and driving. And the town blamed the car accident on the influence of culture, on rock and roll, bad books, partying, dancing, basically the world and everything in it. And so in response to this tragic loss of these youth in this car accident, the town began passing laws that outlawed all those things in the county. So people weren't allowed to listen to music, they weren't allowed to have parties, and they weren't allowed to dance anymore. And the whole movie is about this senior class led by Kevin Bacon, who was an outsider coming into this situation, fighting kind of the establishment for the right to have the basic freedoms to celebrate these basic things in life, and what they wanted to celebrate in the movie was their accomplishment of having graduated high school. They wanted to have a senior prom, and they wanted to have a dance to celebrate this completion of this life journey. And so Kevin Bacon argues that even King David in the Bible, at the appropriate time, danced before the Lord, and that dancing can just be simple celebration and thanksgiving to God. It doesn't have to be something that leads somebody down a dark path and ends up in a car accident. And so the whole movie, right, is about this massive transformation of heart and consciousness that needs to take place in the hearts of the adults who have lost trust in their kids' abilities to make good decisions, right? And so the shepherds of the children, if you would, right? The parents, the adults are the shepherds of the children, and then they're getting together and passing laws to shepherd the children even more. And literally their hearts have to be healed of this old wound before they can open up and trust their kids and learn what trust really is, really. And it was that old hurt that was driving the parents. It was that old pain that was driving the shepherds' lack of trust in those who they were shepherding. So the parents have to learn throughout the movie that more rules, a tighter grip, additional oversight, and basically helicopter shepherding, you've heard of helicopter parenting, helicopter shepherding is never going to lead to the development of their kids, because you can't hold your kids' hands forever. And as a father, this is a period in my life that I'm transitioning through. As my children are becoming teenagers and are stepping out on their own, they're making more of their own choices, and I have to give them those freedoms. And as I thought about this, I realized this is exactly the liberty Jesus came to give Israel, right? So the shepherds of Israel at that time and their attempt to steer the sheep in the direction they wanted them to go and stay in and locked in had entrenched the people in so many rules and so much oversight that they had over 200 rules on what could or could not be done on the Sabbath alone. And everyone had to basically go to their rabbi or priest to get permission to do anything that was questionable. And this is why Jesus in Matthew 11, verses 28 through 30 says this, "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourselves. For my yoke is easy and my burden light." Jesus was revealing what the good shepherd looks like. The good shepherd doesn't smother. He gives eternal life. He gives freedom and peace. And his way is easy. His way is refreshing. And because of that, his sheep desire to follow him without all the rules and all the oversight. And perhaps in the first century, the people were already forgetting this, that Jesus had come to do this. And so the church was already trying to make a bunch of rules again. And so there in Galatians 5:1, we see something interesting where Paul stands up and is kind of addressing the council there in Jerusalem. He says, "Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ has made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage." And basically what he's saying is, don't let yourself come under all of these really hardcore rules and oversights. Just love God with all your heart, all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And also, yes, love yourself, right? And so as I was contemplating that, and this movie kind of came about in my life, and I got this deeper insight, I kind of came to this application. And that is this: trust does not come from more oversight and more rules. It comes as hearts are transformed by the grace of God. Well, thank you for joining me today as we've looked at the blessings of the Good Shepherd. I hope to see you again next week.